I got Marchand betting on himself and winning big, and the optic and the feeling of him leaving the Bruins and immediately winning a Stanley Cup. I think that's top of mind right there. That's the first takeaway. My second takeaway would be the Edmonton Oilers losing and the role of goaltending maybe playing in that. And the Edmonton Oilers inquired and made a run at Jeremy Swayman early in the season. Can we get them to make another run at Jeremy Swayman? Is there a path for the Bruins to unload their overpaid, overrated goalie? That would be on my list as well.
If there's no path, we'll make one.
Okay. Can we pound out a path for the Oilers to come get Jeremy Swayman and get him the heck out of here? Connor McDavid, and how we look at him as an all-time great and what this does to his legacy and all of those. But let's start with Marchand, the optics of him skating around with the Stanley Cup, Mazz. What's your takeaway there?
So I am happy for the little rodent. To me, that was one of those moments. Again, I've said this to you over and over again, and to me, this is all part and parcel of the story. Marchand, to me, is a great overachiever, is what he is. And not just because he was a second-round pick or a third-round pick. I don't even remember which. I'm just telling you, when he came up, there wasn't a ton of hype around his game as to what kind of player he was going to be. He was a third-liner kind of player. There was some potential there to get some offense, but he was an agitator. He was a rat. He was a rodent. He turned into one of the most productive offensive players in the league, and now he's got 2 cups on top of it. Good for him. I think, to me, the reason why Brad Marchand is so likable, and I know fans love him for the agitation and, again, the rat-like behavior, to me is the relentlessness and what he's been able to get out of his ability at the start of his career to now. It's a good story. You wish everybody could produce and have the kind of output like Brad Marchand did, given the kind of talent he had at the beginning of his career. The guy became an unbelievable success story.
I mean, really one of the easiest Bruins to root for. I mean, yeah, there was certainly some red flags here and there with the, licking other players in the dirt he would get into sometimes. But he overall, I think, was easy to root for, played the way people wanted. Wished you got another cup. So, I don't know, you'd have to be like a real Grinch and have a serious dump in your pants not to be happy that he got another cup. I get it's tough with the Florida Panthers, but again, he's easy to root for. Good for him, and good for him that he wasn't a passenger for this whole thing. It's one of the great trade deadline acquisitions that I can remember. Like, he was a real piece of this postseason run for the Panthers.
Yeah, it was damn near the Conn Smythe. I don't know if he finished second or third. Did they release the voting on that?
I don't know, but he was the second betting favorite. He
was the second guy coming in. Yeah, so I don't know where he finished, but he was in the running for it.
I mean, I think he gets an assist or something last night. He wins it. Like, if he got a point last night, then he's probably the Conn Smythe winner.
So on a personal level, yeah, I'm with you. How does it make the Bruins look?
Oh, kind of like clowns.
Yes, it makes them look like clowns.
Yeah,
it does, and I don't think they're clowns in this situation in a vacuum. In other words, I'm glad they traded him. I'm relatively okay with the return. First-round pick in 2 years. When Florida has a chance to go in the other direction, it is top 10 protected. I didn't realize that. So if Florida wins the lottery in 2 years, you don't get the pick. It's top 10 protected. So, but either way, I mean, that's okay. The return's okay. It wasn't a horrible return. I don't think he's worth the contract he was offered by the Bruins. I don't think he's worth the contract he's going to get somewhere else. I don't think he's the same player. I don't second-guess the move. But the optic from 10,000 feet of the Bruins getting rid of people, and then in short order, them skating around the ice with the Stanley Cup is a horrible look, and it's starting to sort of add up. Most of the guys you don't care about, but 2 at least you do, and that's Bruce Cassidy and Brad Marchand. And in the last 3 years, you've had to watch those guys skate around the ice with the Stanley Cup shortly after you let them go. They weren't good enough for you. They couldn't win here. Then they go somewhere else, and immediately they prove their championship caliber, and they win, and they're skating around the ice with the Stanley Cup. That's a bad look.
Yeah, can I give you another one real quick? I don't know if you guys felt this way. When Tomas Nosek was holding it last night because they give it to the players that have never won it, I think he was like third or fourth in line. I was like, wait a minute. Oh, right, he was here too.
I kept saying, well, that's a former Bruin. Yeah. Well, that's a former Bruin. A.J. Greer, Nosek,
yep,
and Boquist. Never mind Marchand. And so... Yep, there was a string there where I think it might have gone Nosek, Boquist, A.J. Greer because they gave it to the guys that hadn't won first. Yeah. And I think those three, and I kept saying, well, there's a Bruin. There's a Bruin. There's a Bruin. On the Golden Knights 3 years ago, it was Cassidy. It was Riley Smith. Phil Kessel was on that team. You kind of forget, not that you care, but it's just the optic of...
You got to go somewhere else to win.
You've got to go somewhere else to win. And that's how it's starting to look with the Bruins.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. I mean, that is like, because remember, there was a time, and I suppose I'm not talking specifically about the Bruins, but Boston was a destination for people who wanted to win championships. That's what it felt like. Not anymore. And so, with the possible exception of the Celtics, but in the case of Marchand in particular, he was a perfect fit down there from the beginning. You knew it was a good fit. And he was smart enough to say he wanted Florida. So he knew what it was like down there, and he was talking about the culture, obviously, and all of that down there was in that cut that we just played. The whole thing, to me, was a perfect fit and really exemplified. The Panthers exemplify what winning is about, really, because, again, everybody wants to go there. That's what it feels like to me, and Marchand was smart enough to identify it and feel that.
So Marchand, he just misses the Conn Smythe. Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand was close. Distant third was Sergei Bobrovsky. And they do it by points. Bennett had 76 points. Marchand had 68 points. Points are awarded on a 5-3-1 basis. The deadline to submit ballots to the NHL occurred with 10 minutes remaining in Game 6. So there's a few guys who voted for Marchand first, like David Dwork of the Hockey News. Luke Fox, Sportsnet, had Marchand first. Elliot Friedman had Marchand first, et cetera, et cetera. So he was close. He was damn near the Conn Smythe winner. And let me tell you, I did not see that coming. I mean, I'm not totally surprised that he went on a run. But, again, I was in the camp. He wasn't worth $6 million a year that the Bruins offered him. I was stunned they offered him 3 times 6. I'm stunned he turned it down at the time. I thought he was stupid to turn it down. I thought someone would be stupid to give him 3 times 7. He's 37 years old. You give him 3 times 7, pay a 40-year-old guy who's clearly declining $7 million a year in his age 40 season, the third year on the deal. That's stupid. He bet on himself, and he won. He's going to get it. He's going to get more and play a sound where they think he might get $8 million a year. He might get 4 times 8. Some idiot's going to do that.
Oh, he's going to get paid. Yeah. I have no doubts about that. And candidly, I'm surprised that he had as much jump in him as he did in this series, because I wasn't convinced that he was going to be able to give him much, but as a third liner. And again, the big thing to me is the jump that he played with, particularly 2 games ago, when he was beating guys to pucks off of faceoffs and beating them down the ice.
He looked 5 years younger.
He did. Yeah, he did. He was rejuvenated by this move. Like, this is one of those moves that I think if you're Marchand or someone close to him, you're going to say, leaving Boston was the best thing that ever happened to you.
Okay, Marchand, item number 1, and really the optics of the Bruins. Optics on the Bruins. How does that make them look? How does that make you feel? They look like a bunch of chumps. They do. And again, in that situation, I don't think it was the wrong move. But from 10,000 feet, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look good for you. That you let a coach go, 5 minutes later, he's waltzing around the ice with a Stanley Cup. You let a captain go, 5 minutes later, he's skating around the ice with a Stanley Cup. That's a bad look. 617-779-0985. Who are you particularly down on after this series, Mazz?
McDavid. Connor McDavid. Again, and I don't want to call his performance in this series,
Ovechkin-esque.
Yeah, Ovechkin-esque. I don't want to say it's that. He was a -4 last night in a elimination game. His team playing for a championship, playing for the chance to get it back in their building. -4. He did not have a plus game in the series. He was -7 for the series.
1 goal, -7 for the series.
And so... to me, it's all about the defensive end with him. So I've been asking around about his reputation in the defensive zone, and the best I got was he's okay. But if you watch some of those goals last night, particularly the first 2 that Florida scored, he was heading out of the zone or picking up someone that was really, going the wrong way on a play. He didn't pick up Tkachuk on his.
I was going to say, Tkachuk's super soft.
Yes. And he doesn't. The one thing you notice is when you go back and really look at it, he doesn't get down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yes, totally.
He stops at about the face-off circle.
I tell you, I know it was a regular season game, but when we went to that, do you guys go the Vegas Golden Knights game during Super Bowl week?
Yeah.
I watched him. I just watched him. He's super floaty.
Yeah, he jumps the zone.
He's floaty.
He's looking to get a stride on the field, and he zips out of there. That first goal that Reinhardt scored, which was a ridiculous goal, was a massive breakdown by Edmonton on defense. McDavid just kind of floated out of the zone. Like, I'm not going to stay here and help. We get the puck. I'm out. And I'm not telling you it was his fault, because it wasn't.
But he doesn't stick his nose in there.
Bingo.
No, his approach at times is questionable. His talent is also unquestionable.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it when he's got a head of steam with the puck on his stick.
But given his ability, like, if you want to win a championship, don't you think you've got to probably sacrifice some of the points and get your ass down by the goal line?
Yes.
Like when you have watched other players play, and I'm just going to use Zacha as an example because I noticed it early when he came to the Bruins. He goes down to the goal line.
Charlie Coyle.
They both go down
Deep.
there.
They get deep on defense.
Yes, they go all the way down there, and they play the full 200 feet. He doesn't. And if he doesn't want to be labeled as one of these offensive guys who just puts up the numbers and likes to play at a high speed, chuck and duck, circus hockey, if you want to call it that. If you don't want to be labeled that, you got to get your ass down there and start digging in on the defensive zones.
I was watching my Get Up show this morning. Greenberg there had a list of the top players in sports who haven't won a championship. And he had Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Judge, Luka Doncic, and number one was Connor McDavid.
Yes, he's up there now. It's him.
I think Connor McDavid's number one in sports today because I think Josh Allen's great. He's not the best quarterback. Lamar Jackson's great. He's not the best quarterback. Luka Doncic is great. He's not the best player.
Also a pig.
But be that as it may, it's not like Connor McDavid is the best player in hockey by far. The gap between him and the next guy, I think, is the biggest in sports. When you watch him play, he plays against the best players in the world and stands out. And so not only do I think he's the best player in sports not to win a championship, he's closing in on the best player in the history of sports not to win a championship. This might be a good tiers. I don't know if you've even done this before, but like he's on. Thank you, Jimmy.
Oh, I like this idea.
He's on a list with Dan Marino. I mean, name it. Ted Williams.
Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds, sure.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, I would put him on there.
Okay, Ted Williams.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
Yes.
Name the greatest players in the history of the game not to win, and he's closing in on that list. I'm not just talking about this year. I'm talking like all time. Dan Marino.
He's definitely creeping into that. How many years has he been in the league now? Yeah, 10 years in the league.
Is that really right?
10 years. I'm just double checking this. This was his 10th season.
Is he someone, if he were an NBA player, would he say, I got to get out of here because I can't win here?
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, without question.
Maybe, but I think he's a big part of the problem.
He's got 1 year left on his deal.
He's got to get dirtier. He's got to play dirtier.
I think you're going to see it with Edmonton. I think this is going to be his last season because he's going to be a UFA after 26, the 25-26 season. You're going to see that. I think he's going to say, I'm going to take my talents elsewhere, a la LeBron.
I think the highest paid player in the game is his teammate Draisaitl at 14 a year. How many years? Is it 7 times 14?
Something like that.
So if 7 times 14 is what? What's the total value there? Do the quick math, Mazz?
98.
7 at 9. I'm making that. No, I think Draisaitl is 14. I don't know how many years he signed for. But if it's 7 years, $98 million, and is 7 still the max you can do?
I think it's 8.
Or is it 8?
8 if it's your guy.
Draisaitl was 8 years, 112.
Yeah.
8 and 112. So it's 7 if he goes somewhere else?
Right, correct.
Okay. So
you can give 1 more year if it's your guy.
So it's at least 8 and 120. Let me just pick a number there.
Definitely.
If he stays in Edmonton, it's 7 and 120 if he goes somewhere else. Would you be afraid to do that?
No.
No, he's that guy.
No, he's that good, and I think this is something he can develop.
He's got to win.
Yeah, but because again, he's 28. Like his whole life, like you
Who's
said,
the greatest hockey player to never have won? Kevin. Who do we got there? It was Bork. Neely didn't play long enough to be considered that. Who's the greatest NHL player?
Other than this guy, you mean?
I mean, I think it might be him. Who am I missing?
I mean, right? Again, he's been in the league 10 years. It's not 5. It's 10.
Jerome McGinley?
Joe Thornton.
McGinley never won. He didn't.
Oh, Thornton's a good
Thornton.
Thornton's a good one.
Thornton's it. This guy
Oh, he craps.
takes
Oh,
a
yeah,
leak
blows him
on
out of
Joe
the water.
Thornton.
Yeah, he
Blows him
blows him out of the
away.
water.
But Thornton is probably the answer. And this guy's a different guy.
He should have gone to the Panthers, too.
So it's like, it's not just, he needs it. No. I'm telling you, this is like all time stuff now. It's like, I think of it, Ted Williams before my time. I don't really care about Barry Bonds. I think it's like him and Dan Marino. Like he's in that conversation. He's got to win. Does he got to go somewhere else to win?
Maybe.
Got to go somewhere else to do it.
Swayman for McDavid, who says no.
Okay, there's a. I don't know if they're doing that. I don't think they trade him. He might leave as a UFA. But Swayman's going to be on the board here because Edmonton might look at this and say we're a goaltender short, and they wanted your goaltender at one time. Do they still?